Okay, I'm frankly not one to make videos like these. Where do I start? I'd like to preface this video. I've never been an animal lover of any sort. If it ever comes my way, then yeah, I do what I can to get pets adopted or help them find a home. The reason why I actively never chose to go out of my way to adopt, married, or had kids is because I specifically know my capacity. And I know that that's not something I ever want to put any animal or a human being through that process where I don't give my 110% to them. Because otherwise, when you do that, it's a gross injustice that you're doing to that creature or to that human. But my family, on the other hand, is actively involved in the process of giving animals shelter. So, despite all my efforts to stay away from all this, around 1.5 months ago, we were introduced to Bella.
Bella.
To be really honest, I was just, skeptical at first.
Hachi boo boo. What is this joy, Bella?
But the moment I saw her, I kind of was like, hey, you know what? It's fine. We have a pup now.
Hi, Bella. Woof. No. No. Yeah, enjoy. Anything you like, anything you like.
She's adorable, full of energy, and those silly, ridiculously cute floppy ears as she ran to us every single time we would just, be in her presence. It was enough for her to be filled with joy. That kind of melted my heart a little.
Okay, bye, Bella. No. Leave me alone. No.
See, I'm not an animal person, but you do kind of form a bond when you spend some time. And then suddenly one day Bella fell sick. It wasn't too long in our ownership of her, and suddenly she stopped eating, she stopped drinking, her appetite went down, and she would have repeated motions and diarrhea, and then she would keep puking out every single thing that she consumed. We took her to the vets, we took her to the doctors. They identified that she had something called as parvovirus. This is supposed to be one of the most fatal or lethal diseases that puppies can get. And we did everything possible. My brother-in-law and sister went out of their way to spend every single penny we had to save her, and the doctors did everything they could. After all the suffering that she went through, she basically became a bag of bones. She had no movement in her left, her rear end basically stopped functioning. She was just lying there. We visited her yesterday one last time. The only thing I could say when I looked at her and was petting her head when she wasn't even moving, she would just move her eyes but not say anything except whimper a little. That's all I could say. I'm sorry we did this to you. I'm sorry you had to suffer like this. This is what she looked like. But today morning, we were planning to put Bella down. But I guess she passed away sometime at 8 a.m. See, unfortunately, what happened is 2 weeks back, we lost our pet cat in a freak accident. See, Skittles was like a part of our daily life for more than 1.5 years, and it was just absolutely traumatizing to see him go suddenly like that. That alone took us a lot to recover from, and Bella, in a way, made up for that pain and trauma. She was just helping us move on. And the same thing happened to our pup. She ended up passing away as well. So that's like back to back. We fought this whole pandemic thing. We stayed home. We did everything right. And as humans are fine. She was from a breeder. She cost around 25k or something. And beyond that, we had to spend around 60 or 70k just to try to save her, which didn't work. In fact, this place didn't even give a proper certificate of her health, like a basic blood test. None of that was done. We just sold off, and then we brought her home thinking that, hey, you know what? Why not? It's a bundle of joy. We can finally give a pet home. We can have all that joy in our lives. All of us snatched away in like a second. These guys just have no concern for animal welfare whatsoever. Sure, their kennels are clean and their shop is great, but if you look through their Google reviews even once, you'll find multiple instances of people stating that their pets have caught parvo and died early. And like, it's not just the number of reviews that have parvo infected cases being reported, but isn't even one bad enough for your business? Like, how many dead pets do you need on your name for you to change your practices, for you to reconsider what you're doing? There's multiple reports and reviews of people who have had pets from your store which have had parvo, which means there's way more animals in there that could have been potentially infected. There's a lot of owners who don't even maybe come back and report this because they're grieving, all because of you guys and your practices. Clearly goes to show that money is more important to you. The worst thing is that when people report these things to you, you don't go around changing your practices, or you don't go around with tests. You don't even provide the basic when you actually send these animals off to be adopted. You also retaliate to the owners when they reply to you and tell you that we got this bundle of joy from you, but she's suffering a lot. We blame you for all the suffering that you have exacted. No, it's not our problem, sir. We told you everything's fine. But that they've tried to return pets that were infected. Why? Because you don't know where the pet has been imported from. You don't know where the animal has been brought from. You don't know what the transport was like. You don't know what their previous living conditions were like. Heck, you don't even know what their previous lineage was like. Who were the parents? Were they taken care of? None of that is information that's privy to you. So this is the kind of thing that happens when you choose a breeder, when you go out of your way to pick a specific breed just because you think they look cute or they'll bring you some benefits. You not only end up risking an animal's life, putting them through a lot of suffering in their final moments, spending a shit ton of money to try to save their life, and God forbid if that doesn't work, that's it. It's all for nothing. You gotta understand, breeds are weak. They are interbred, they are inbred, their genetic pools are not strong, their immunity is crap. Just for reference, we also had another street pup right outside our house right now. Oreo is super healthy. She's living on the streets, but she's being fed by the society, she's being looked after, she's strong, and she's healthy right now. This is exactly the reason why you should adopt, not shop. Every time you make a purchase, even if it's from a certified breeder who gives you a proper certificate and every other thing in detail, you're still helping pay for that business that will continue. Other places that have practices that are not good, those certified breeders who do everything right, who actually have a passion for animals, they're going to be very few in number. The rest are what you're feeding with the money that you spend. The ones that actually don't have proper practices. Places like this one. And I know it's a cruel and harsh thing to say, but end of the day, that business has to die out. But heck, it's like picking the lesser of two evils. Will those animals not find a home? Most likely. Will they suffer and die? It's almost guaranteed even if you adopt them and bring them home. But there's also a high likelihood that you'll be like, oh, but we found a better breeder, someone who does these things right, someone who follows the protocols, someone who takes care of the animals, someone who's really passionate about them and all of that jazz. But again, the breeder does not control the gene pool. They don't care about that. Their job is to get out as many cute puppies and animals and cats as possible. So you are attracted to them and go and adopt them purely based on appearance and nothing else. Simply because you thought that would be cool. Down the line, when your animal grows up, even if they survive during that childhood phase, their immune system is again going to rear its ugly head when the time comes. There's a lot of infections that people go through to get a stronger immune system. That's the only way, we agree. But your genetics also play a huge role in giving you that foundational strength. And your pet might just face that problem down the line once they've spent a good few years with you. That's even worse. It's even harder. So no, getting it from a certified breeder doesn't necessarily make it a good thing. So you have to let that business die out. You have to let that business model not survive, and they will stop doing what they're doing. So that in the end, the overall goal is to have lesser animals suffer. And not to mention the emotional toll it takes on you and your family. It's not worth your money. If anything, let this be a lesson that you should not shop, adopt. It just isn't worth it at all. Maybe part of the reason I'm doing this is also because I've gone around more than 30 years rescuing strays, looking after pets, helping other people with their pets, all of that jazz without even one casualty on my hand. Not one animal did I let die. Those were the level of my efforts. I reached out to whoever I could get my hands on. I tried to get all the contacts possible to make sure that any pet that came my way into my life, I made sure that they found a home or that they were safe and healthy and fine. Apart from the worst case scenarios where there was possibly a weak animal born in a litter, there were never any other cases except for natural deaths. None on my hands. There was never any blood on my hands. Bella was the first. And all of that because she came from an irresponsible breeder. I never really understood what people meant when they said pets are like family. Not until I lost 2 of them. I started this video with such anger and pain and frustration that the only way I knew how to cope with it was to make a video. Initially it was meant to be a sort of tribute to Bella and everything that she gave to us, but I just felt that this needed a bigger purpose. It had to have more meaning. And I know that this whole thing was serious and not necessarily something that brings joy to people, but the purpose was to ensure that I at least get the message out through my experience to as many people as possible and not repeat the mistake that I did. On that note though, I will acknowledge that for whatever little time she was here, Bella gave us immense amounts of joy than we had seen in the last 2 years. I will be putting up another video of all the good times we had with her, and that will definitely be something a little more uplifting because I'd like to end everything that I see in life on that note. You gotta find the joy in the little things. Thank you for sitting through this video. If you feel that you resonate with this message or you think it's going to help somebody, please by all means go ahead, share it. I never thought that I'd be spending a good amount of days just focusing on this one particular thing as a project, but it just felt like it was necessary. Thank you.